Hey guys, this is here, and today we are going to be reacting. Not reacting. I'm going to start over. Not going to cut this out though. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Nerdy Movie News Roundup, the show where we round up all of the latest news in the world of nerdy movies. Got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. We got trailers, we got Avatar, we've got our bad bitches, we've got Daredevil Born Again details, we've got Ironheart, I think, Sentry was recast. So many things. So let's get into it. All right. First off, my camera. Let me fix my camera. My bad. All right. First up, we have the Netflix adaptation of Avatar. They put out their official trailer. I guess the first one was the teaser trailer. This one's official. And listen, I think this show looks pretty good. I mean, I do always have like the voice in the back of my head being like, so why exactly did the original creators leave? Because when I watched the teaser trailer, I was like, well, this does seem kind of dark and serious, and it seems like they're kind of straying away from the more childlike tone of the original series. But you watch this trailer, and there's like it feels pretty tonally accurate to the animated series. Aang feels like Aang, Sokka feels like Sokka, Katara feels like Katara, and so on and so forth. Like, it does seem like the characterizations, like they're kind of nailing it. So that does kind of lead me to believe that there must have been just some disagreements over how to adapt the narrative. Maybe, I'm assuming the Netflix people, they wanted to maybe cut some stuff out, or maybe they wanted to keep some stuff in that the original creators didn't want to do. So I don't know, but that is something that's always in the back of my head. That being said, this looks really good. Obviously, from a production value, one of the things that I was worried about when I heard about this is like, can you really do this on a TV budget? Like, it's globe trotting. There's all the bending and you have the big CGI flying bison. Like, he's in like every episode. It's like, how exactly are we gonna do this? And I'm like, I'm watching this trailer and it seems like they just spent a lot of money because it's a lot of bending that's in this. It looks pretty good. There's a lot of Appa in the trailer, and I'm like, it looks good. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but just based off of the trailers, I can't say like this does not look like a Death Note. This this doesn't look like a. I never watched Cowboy Bebop, nor do I know anything about the source material, but this doesn't look like what Cowboy Bebop fans say Cowboy Bebop was. So this actually looks like a decent adaptation, but of course we will have to wait and see. All right, we also got a trailer for season 3 of The Bad Batch. It looks like more of The Bad Batch. It seems like we're picking off of where the last season ended, where it's like we got to save Omega and whatever. I think the biggest thing that they showed was Asajj Ventress being in this, and where did we leave off with this character in the Clone Wars? I think she just got betrayed by Darth Maul, right? And then she stopped being a Sith. Like, she's not a Jedi or anything, I don't think, but she's just kind of like a gray area Force user, kind of like Ahsoka, of course. So she should be interesting. Like, I wonder if she'll like be helping the Bad Batch, or if she'll be like an enemy, an antagonist, maybe a little bit of both. But I enjoy the Bad Batch. I actually think it's overall like more consistently good than the Clone Wars. And I think that at its best, I think it's way better than the Clone Wars. Like there are a couple episodes in season 2 that are like genuinely really great. So, and I like the fact that it's ending after just 3 seasons, and hopefully it's because the creators are like, this is the story that we have to tell, and we don't feel the need to just extend this endlessly. And maybe the show just isn't getting particularly high viewership, so they're like, yeah, Disney's like, yeah, we're good. Finish. So hopefully it's the former, not the latter, but we'll have to wait and see. I think the trailer looked decent. All right. Next up, we got some Daredevil Born Again details. Let's read from the Hollywood Reporter. Daredevil Born Again, which restarts production Monday after a lengthy hiatus. what did I do here? Okay, whatever. Philip Silvera, who I don't know, I feel like I copied and pasted this wrong, but Philip Silvera, who acted as stunt and fight coordinator on the Netflix version of Daredevil, has returned to the fold to act as stunt coordinator and second unit director for the new series. It also, his hiring reaffirms that the show's focus on more street level heroics and less on heavy and costly visual effects. Deborah Ann Wall and Eldon Henson are rumored to have been hired to reprise the roles of Karen Page and Foggy Nelson. The show will also not be 18 episodes as first announced, but will be more in line with the original Netflix series model of lower episode counts. So, I mean, I'm reading this and I'm like, this is basically just season 4. Like, as we know, the Netflix shows are officially canon. They're bringing back Eldon Henson and Karen and Deborah Ann Wall, which is like, how were they not in the show originally? They're saying that they're lowering the episode count to be more in line with the Netflix series, so they haven't flat out said it, and it has been reported, but that seems like a 13 episode season, right? They're saying that they're scaling back the scale of it. It's going to be more grounded. I guess it wasn't going to be before. Maybe they were going to get more into the, MCU nonsense of big budget, whatever, and they're going to scale back to be more like the Netflix series. I mean, like, this seems like it just is going to be season 4, which I cannot be more happy about. I am curious, though, like, what was the show going to be originally? How bad was it going to be that they were like, we cannot release this? Well, actually, I do have my theory that maybe it's not even that the show was going to be all that bad, but they watched Echo. And listen, was Echo particularly good? Absolutely not. But there were some decent parts about it, and they definitely did bring back the old Kingpin, the more brutal Kingpin and whatnot. And I almost wonder if maybe they watched Echo and they were like, we can't go from Echo to whatever the fuck we're doing here, like Hawaiian shirt wearing Kingpin. And I'm like, maybe that's the main reason, where it's just like, okay, this just works better, and it's going to be just too jarring and too inconsistent. We have to rework Daredevil. I don't know. That's kind of my conspiracy theory. But it also maybe just sucked ass. And Kevin Feige and Marvel, they have to know that Daredevil has to be great. Like, it has to be. It is just another one of those projects that could either really help the MCU in its current state, or it being bad could really hurt the MCU. Because I think that there are a lot of fans that are like, all right, I'm kind of burnt out on the MCU, but I'll watch Deadpool 3, right? They're like, I'm kind of burnt out on the MCU, but I'll watch Spider-Man 4. And I think Daredevil is one of those projects where there are probably some people that are like, I'm kind of burnt out on the MCU, but I'll watch Daredevil Born Again. And these are projects that, if they're great, could maybe convince people to be like, all right, I'll check out Captain America 4. All right, I'll check out Thunderbolts. But if it's bad, these are also projects that can like officially make people go, I think I'm done. Like I think Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was that project for a lot of people where, $100 million or $120 million worth of people went and watched that movie. They're probably like, all right, this is going to be the one. They're introducing Kang. Let's check it out. And then that movie was what it was. And we've seen what happened as the box office for that movie steeply declined. We saw what happened with the Marvel. So I don't know. I think it's a very important project, and I think they have to nail it. I think they know they have to nail it, and hopefully they do. But yeah, we'll see what happens with it. All right, next up, Tron 3 is filming. I guess the director announced on Instagram, is like, week 1 on the grid, bro. It's a Tron reference. Blah. I don't know anything about Tron. I'm not going to lie. Like, I remember I watched Tron Uprising, which was like an animated series on Disney XD when I was a kid. But I don't really remember it that well. And I think I watched Tron Legacy as a kid. But again, I don't remember it. and I definitely never watched the first Tron, so I can't say I really care about this franchise, but we'll see what happens. Do I necessarily think that a Tron movie starring Jared Leto is like is necessarily something to get excited about? No, I don't. But we'll see. I'm open-minded. All right, next up. Ironheart is done filming. There's a little video here. I guess we'll watch it.
Has concluded. Yeah, okay. Indeed. Yeah, I mean, I can say strap in, get ready. It will be a ride, much like they all are. It is an epic journey and one that I'm very excited to share.
Yeah, I didn't feel like transcribing that, so I just played it. Yeah, she says they're done filming. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading a little too, and that's obviously the Ironheart actress. But I just basing off of her body language, and obviously she's like on a red carpet or whatever. She was probably answering reporters. She's probably also nervous because she knows that she has a sniper on her at all times in case she spoils something. But I can't say that she sounds all that enthused about the project, right? Like, she wasn't like, oh my god, yeah, we finished filming, it was so much fun, I'm so excited to share this to the world, and blah, 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 blah. She didn't sound like that. So, I don't know. I'm definitely reading way too much into that, so we'll just have to wait and see how the project turns out. But, I mean, I liked her character in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Do I need a Ironheart project after watching that movie? No. Will I watch one? Yeah, I'll watch one. I mean, listen, I really loved Miss Marvel. So, we'll see what happens. Okay, so here we have an interesting thing about the Avatar The Last Airbender series. Let's get into the CBR article. We know how big a character Azula becomes in the series, so we had the benefit of hindsight in fleshing out her character and being able to tell a story with her in it in Season 1. Albert Kim said, "We all knew," this is the showrunner, by the way, "we all knew that there were things we wanted to change, but not just for the sake of change. There had to be a reason for the change." So yeah, I mean, this is kind of self-evident just from the trailer, because Azula's in it at all, when obviously she wasn't in Season 1 of the show. So obviously they're going to do stuff with her. My guess is that, and I think this could actually be kind of cool if they do this, because the other character that's in the first season that wasn't really in the first season was Firelord Ozai. So I almost wonder if maybe we're just going to get scenes with Azula and Ozai, but they're not. I don't think Azula is going to meet or interact with Team Avatar just yet. Like, hopefully they save that for Season 2, like the show did. And she then becomes like the major or a major threat of the season. That's my guess, because I don't think you want to overshadow Zuko as your threat in the first season. I think you do save that for Season 2. But yeah, like I think there are definitely some cool stories that you could tell of just Azula and the Fire Lord. Maybe her like him sending her out on missions, or maybe him like mistreating her. Maybe you can showcase a bit of the manipulation and her like mental decline earlier in the series. Like I do think there are some stuff that you can do there, but we'll have to wait and see how they handle it. All right, next up we have some looks at What If Season 3. So here we have an episode with Sam and Monica Rambeau. And I don't know who this person is in the back there. Is that Hawkeye? Is that Ant-Man? I'm honestly not sure. But then we get to this next image, and it looks like the same episode where it looks like Sam and Monica are going to get in Gundams, which is kind of awesome. Again, I don't know what the context of this episode is, but it's kind of cool. Then here we have okay, never mind. So then we also have this image here where I guess it looks like there's also going to be an episode where Bucky and Red Guardian team up. And I guess they're fighting an Ant-Man guy. I wonder if this is like Hank Pym, because you would think that, yeah, I'm pretty sure they would be active around the time that Hank Pym was active. So that's kind of cool, because I guess Hank Pym Ant-Man was kind of like an agent of the government, so it would be interesting if we see like like America would send Ant-Man to fight the Winter Soldier and the Red Guardian, or vice versa, right? Like Russia would send the Winter Soldier and the Red Guardian to fight Ant-Man potentially. So I think this is kind of interesting. This episode looks like dumb fun, and this one looks like it could actually be pretty cool. But we'll have to wait and see. I did like season 2 more than season 1, so hopefully they continue the winning streak. All right, next up we have a date for Invincible season 2 part 2. It's March 14th. They put out a little Twitter video announcing it. It was just lame. Listen, I get that releasing seasons and parts. It's not like Invincible invented that, and like people seem to be thinking like, oh, you guys are lame for getting mad at like seasons being released in parts. Like this has been a thing that's happened all the time, and it's like, yeah, no, I know that. I always inherently just kind of think it's lame because my whole thing is, especially with like streaming, it's like you've already waited 2 years. It's not even like you're putting this show out yearly. But anyways, it's like if you're waiting because you think that it's gonna get you more viewership, that's fine. I do what you're gonna do as a business, but as a consumer, I'm allowed to say that it sucks and that like 4 episodes getting sucked into a season and then just being forced to wait is just lame. Like I am allowed to say that and express that opinion. But the other thing aside of it is that we had just finished watching Gen V. It's like or I guess I should say the other side of it is if you decided to split into 2 parts because you had to finish doing the animation, it's like we had just finished watching Gen V. We did not need Invincible season 2 yet. So it's like I would have rather if they had just waited to release it now in 2024 instead of doing this weird thing where they're releasing it in 2 parts. It's just kind of lame. But listen, at the end of the day, the first half was really great, and it's not like I'm not going to watch the second half whenever they put it out. So I am unfortunately just yapping, but that's what I do here. I yap. I give my opinions. But yeah, well, it's March 14th. Put it on the calendars. And yeah, we also have Deadpool 3, which is done filming. What the hell? Oh, there we go. Sorry. So yeah, there's Dogpool, I guess. He's a character in Deadpool 3. So yeah, they announced that it was done filming by posting, like, I guess the Dogpool character has like an Instagram account. And they wrote this little thing here as if it's the dog talking. It's kind of cringe, but that is the announcement that Deadpool 3 is done filming. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not as excited about this movie as most people, and the main reason why is because I'm kind of sick of Ryan Reynolds. Like I don't. His humor just does not hit for me anymore in things that he's in. Granted, my most recent examples of this is like Red Notice and like when he showed up in like Fast and the Furious Hobbs and Shaw. Those are like the last 2 movies that I've seen him in. But I found him really annoying in both of those movies. So listen, I do like the first 2 Deadpool movies. But I'm just trying to. But I do feel like now Ryan Reynolds, at least in those 2 movies that I'm talking about, it's like I've come to a point where it's like I don't like that style of humor where it's like Ryan Reynolds like not taking anything seriously and making a joke about literally everything, and it's just I don't know. I'm a little scared that I am going to find this movie annoying. But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I have a change of heart. Hopefully it's just executed really well. Hopefully. That's what I can have hope. I can have an open mind. But yeah, obviously I'm in the minority with that sentiment. Everybody's really excited about this. I guess the other thing too is that I've never been all that attached to the Fox X-Men movies. Like I've never been in love with them. So it's like Hugh Jackman coming back is cool, but I'm not going like, oh my god, Deadpool, Wolverine, Ryan Reynolds, and Hugh Jackman doing a movie together. Oh my god, like that's just not me, right? And it's like they're saying that this is going to be like the No Way Home for like the Fox X-Men characters, where they're all going to come back for this. That also just doesn't excite me. I'm sorry, like I'm not really all that excited to see James Marsden back. Like, no offense to James, it just doesn't excite me. But anyways, who cares about my opinion? Let's move on. It looks like Marvel is looking at their new Sentry. This is a guy called Lewis Pullman. Hollywood Reporter is saying that he is Marvel's top choice to star in Thunderbolts and has an offer for the role vacated by Steven Yeun earlier this month. I do not know this man. Apparently he was in Top Gun Maverick. I don't remember him. So I have literally nothing to say here. I have no commentary to provide. I'm sure that he's fine. I'm sure that he's a good actor. That's about it. I'm not going to pretend. So we're just going to move on to the next story. All right. Spider-Man 4. So this is a rumor that has been propagated by one of these like anonymous Twitter like scooper accounts. And I normally don't cover these rumors, but it's like, oh god. Okay, sorry. I normally don't cover these rumors, but this has been spread by so many people. It's being talked about a lot. And it is an interesting discussion, to say the least. So I just want to like put that caveat out there that this isn't like something that I necessarily am putting too much stake into as far as whether or not it's even happening. So just let that be known. But yeah, so Daniel RPK, Sony reportedly wants hashtag Spider-Man 4 to be a huge movie and have considered bringing back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Tom Holland and Kevin Feige want a more grounded film. And yeah, it's coming from Daniel RPK. So just to be clear again, this isn't being reported by Deadline or The Hollywood Reporter. Marvel or Sony haven't said this. Tom Holland hasn't opened his mouth. This is coming from some guy on the internet. Who's a scooper guy, but, you know, I tend to just ignore those guys until one of the major trades reports on something, and then I'm like, all right, now I can get emotionally invested in whatever this is. But the rumor is that Sony and Marvel are at odds with one another. It's like Sony wants they want another No Way Home. Kevin Feige and Tom Holland, they want a more grounded Spider-Man movie. So here's the thing. I can honestly completely understand both sides of the situation here. If you're Tom Holland, you're probably sick of being overshadowed in your movies to a certain extent, right? Because when you look at Spider-Man Homecoming, and Spider-Man Far From Home, and No Way Home, like, you're like Peter Parker was a little kid. He's kind of in the shadow of Tony Stark. In No Way Home, he was kind of in the shadow of Doctor Strange a little bit. He was like a little kid there. He's kind of in the shadow of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. But and then in Far From Home, technically he was his own man, kind of. But even then, it's like he gets all of his suits from Nick Fury, or using Stark technology. He technically makes his own suit, but even still, he's a moron in that movie, giving the glasses to Mysterio. Like, if you're Tom Holland, I can understand getting to the end of No Way Home, seeing the movie that's promised where this Peter Parker is finally on his own. He has to fight for his own stuff. He has to make his own suit. That is a much, I would imagine, right, that if you're Tom Holland, that is a much more compelling Spider-Man 4 than being in the shadow of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield again. And now that's not to say that maybe being in the shadow is maybe too much of going too far, but like, there's never been a Spider-Man movie where it's like Tom Holland's Spider-Man is the guy, and he's fronted. He's never. I'm sorry. I'm putting this really poorly, but it's like he's never just been able to be Spider-Man. Like, he's never been able to just make a Spider-Man movie. You know what I mean? Like, where he's just Spider-Man, he's on his own, he's doing his thing. The other thing that I would imagine that Kevin Feige is maybe wanting to do, because there are rumors that, all of the grounded street level side of the Marvel universe, they're saying that, or there have been rumors, and none of this is proven from what I understand, but like, there are rumors that maybe Kingpin is going to be the villain in this movie, and it's going to start setting the ground, setting the seeds for, like, maybe Daredevil was going to show up in this movie. Probably Echo, I would assume, would show up in there. And maybe Spider-Man 4 wants to make this movie to sort of set up the grounded side of the MCU and build up characters like Daredevil and Echo. But if you're Sony, guess what? Spider-Man No Way Home made $1.9 billion. That's not a small amount of money. You probably want to just do that again. And hey, if you do that again, you know who you probably want to bring into that movie? Tom Hardy's Venom. You know who you might want to bring into that movie if it's not received as badly as Morbius? Kraven. Maybe you bring Kraven in there. Maybe Madam Web is great. I don't know. Maybe you want to bring Madam Web into that movie. Into the next Spider-Man, if it's another multiversal thing with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. I don't know. And that's the thing. Like, do I want that? God, no. I want the more grounded Spider-Man. It's like, if I want, I'd kind of rather see Spider-Man just be on his own. But it's like, if he is going to interact with other people, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Spider-Man interact with Daredevil. Like, we already saw Charlie Cox pop up in No Way Home, like, but actually see them team up, I wouldn't mind seeing that. If they maybe team up to fight Kingpin, that would be kind of cool. Hey, listen, I didn't love the Echo show, but I don't mind Alaqua Cox in the role. I don't mind the character. Yeah, throw her in there. But like, I just want to see Spider-Man be Spider-Man. I don't want to see him be like overshadowed by anybody. And I think that's the main point. And I do think I like that's the thing. At the end of the day, I do think that No Way Home success is not because of Tom Holland on his own. It is because of the hype of everybody else. So it's like, I can also understand that from Sony's perspective, if you make another Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland that isn't bringing Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield back, you are basically saying that, yeah, your movie is not going to make $1.9 billion. During this state of comic book movies, it might not even make $1 billion. It'll make a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But it might not even make $1 billion. It probably will. It probably would. But it ain't touching $1.9 billion. So, I could honestly understand both perspectives. Because from the narrative point of view, from where No Way Home left off, the most satisfying thing, I think, for me and for the narrative would be to, okay, now Tom Holland's Peter Parker, he is Spider-Man. He's on his own. That's what was set up. Let's make a movie about that. That movie's not making No Way Home money. It just isn't. It's not going to. But if you chase that money, you run the risk of making a soulless corporate product. That just continues the trend of soulless comic book movies that people are getting sick of. So, listen, again, this is the rumor. We don't know that this is an actual beef that's going on behind the scenes. We don't actually know this, but just looking at the rumored situation, I can understand why both parties are wanting to do what they want to do. But yeah, that's actually all of the topics that we have. So let's get into what I've been watching. I watched Percy Jackson episode 7, and this episode was a little bit of a mixed bag. I thought the Hades stuff was actually a little lame. I thought the backgrounds looked really bad. It just kind of looked barren, which is like, sure, maybe Hades would look like that, but you still have to make it look cool. It really comes down to probably just the budget and them just standing on the volume where it just looked kind of shitty. I feel like Hades was also just not nearly as compelling as it was in the books. Like, I remember one of the coolest things as a kid was like the concept of Hades being like this place where everybody that dies and goes to Hades, they experience it the way that their like religion would experience it, or what they believe is happening based on their religion. So like Christians would experience Hades the way Christianity believed it to be, and like Muslims would experience it whatever they think. Like, I remember that was like an awesome just concept as a kid. They didn't touch on that at all in this episode. And I thought like the whole thing with Cerberus was just kind of lame. But there were also some decent scenes with like Percy's mom, right? The whole flashback sequence. I do think that Percy's big moment in this is pretty satisfying as well. So it's just a bit of a mixed bag where there's some elements that really didn't work for me, but then there were some other moments where I was like, oh, okay, I like this. This is neat, I guess. But I don't know. Overall, the show is just not nearly as good as I want it to be, and I say this every week, but it just continues to be true. I like this book series is my Harry Potter. And I really wanted this show to make this, this series like a big, massive IP. It's not what's happening, unfortunately. So, but yeah, I don't hate it at all. It's fine. But yeah, man, I've been so busy. That's really all I've watched this week. But yeah, either way, that's going to be it for this episode of Nerdy Movie News Roundup. We have, in fact, rounded up all of the news in this week of nerdy movies. So let me know what you think about any and all of the topics that we talked about today, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.